Well, see, he's pretty sure everyone has to talk. So now you're going to defend him. He's pretty sure everyone has to talk.
Ooh.
But yet, but you accuse me of saying all white people, and now I'm a racist, and I don't know. But he says everyone, and you're not defending him.
Now you're just getting semantics.
No.
What? What Daryl
insane.
just said is a fucking solid. He just blew up Tim's argument.
Right.
He just destroyed the argument. Tim gave a totally Vosh level response.
Right. You're just making semantics.
This is a semantic argument. What the fuck are you talking about? Holy.
Right.
I'm gonna be my A game, just so you know.
That's okay.
That's okay. It doesn't. Because we're here. Because hey now, it's your boy PSA Sitch here with another Sunday show with everyone's favorite hit and run victim, Adam Friended.
What's
and
up,
today, we're joined by our friend, Carl Sargon of Benjamin.
Hello. How are you?
Good.
How are you doing today, Carl?
Tired, but good.
That's good. That's good. You were cleaning your room. You were taking Jordan Peterson's advice.
Yeah, well, it needed to be done. Just a big, thorough, top to bottom clean.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's done. And so all good.
Nice.
So did you watch this interaction between Tim Pool and Daryl Davis?
I did not, but I heard that he came out in favor of critical race theory.
So you heard wrong.
Oh, okay. Oh, no, okay. Fair enough. Like I said, I didn't watch it. I just heard bad things about it.
No, I heard. So this video was highly requested to us. Everyone was like, "You guys have to watch this video. You guys have to cover this video." And a lot of people were saying Daryl Davis comes out in favor of CRT. And I watch it. Yeah. And I'm like, that's not what happened at all. What happens is that Daryl Davis is a normie. Okay. he's just a normie boomer who reads the New York Times and Washington Post, and like normie boomers, assumes that the newspapers tell you what is true.
To be honest with you, that's worse than being in favor of CRT.
No, it's not. You're crazy. You're crazy. No.
How can you say such a thing?
Yeah, how could you say such a thing?
Easy, because these are the useful idiots who are allowing CRT to...
Yeah.
The thing with the CRT, like, advocate, like, they seem obvious.
Uh-oh, we're losing you a little bit.
Yeah, we're losing you.
Oh, brilliant. Now my fucking internet's going. The critical race theorists, if you can do anything to challenge their framing on any question, then they sound like fucking lunatics and members of the KKK themselves. Right. I saw Nicole Hannah-Jones, a tweet of hers where she's like, the Civil War wasn't about ending slavery. So, oh, really? Because that's the Confederate opinion? It's about states' rights, isn't it? It's amazing how they align on all of these points, and you can make them sound like fucking idiots. Right. But if you're a normie, you don't challenge any of these things, then you can't do any of those things. They can carry on with their horrible agenda as if nothing was untoward. Yeah, but I would, to me, the person who's just, ignorant that they're being lied to is way less bad than the, evil person who's doing the lying. Ah, but they're complicit in their ignorance, Sitch. Yeah, but they have to be woke, Carl. Okay, we have to ignorance is no excuse of the law, Sitch. It has nothing to do with it. Yeah, it does. It does. We need to abolish the concept of a normie. They have to choose critical race theory or not. Yeah, but the way, and this is why I think the conversation. I'm not going to use this to just beat up on Tim the whole time when we watch this. Of course. Tim's good. Okay, maybe, but this is Daryl Davis is someone that you want to be your ally. His heart is in the right place. I think he's a good idea, but I don't agree with him on everything. I agree with him on a lot of things, though. His approach to saying, listen, the way to fight racism is to befriend racist people and show them that there's no difference between a white person and a black person is the right strategy to do, and you want to get him on your side. And I think if he was made aware of, if he really understood what CRT was, then he would be against it. He just doesn't, because he trusts the newspapers. Let's get into the video. We're going to jump around a little bit in the beginning, and then we're going to let it play for 10 hours, and we'll see how long we can get into this.
Experts is Daryl Davis.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I am fantastic. Do you want to introduce yourself?
I think you just did. My name is Daryl Davis. I'm a 64-year-old musician, author, and lecturer, and race reconciliator.
Right on. You are. I guess you're the big story around you, aside from the fact that you're a famous jazz musician, is that you actually de-radicalize Klan members.
Well, I inspire them to de-radicalize themselves. I have been the impetus. A lot of the media says, black blues musician or black rock and roll musician converts X number of Klansmen. No, I never converted anybody. I have been the impetus for over 200 to convert themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Well, this is going to be...
Look at that. You can't force free will on anyone. They have to want it. They have to buy it themselves.
That's right.
Fascinating, because we talk about polarization a lot, and we actually did an event with you, which was really interesting, and it's going to be fun to talk about and kind of understand what happened there. But also, we have Bill Ottman of Minds, who can also talk about, you guys are working together on censorship and how censorship is making things worse.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm Bill. I'm a founder of Minds, minds.com. Check it out. Daryl and I just recently published a paper together with multiple PhDs and a bunch of researchers called The Censorship Effect, talking about the blowback of censorship, how to facilitate dialogue, and that's what we need more of.
Right on.
Yeah, man, I'm down to talk about censorship.
I feel bad for Bill. And this conversation is so funny. Bill's always trying to be like the centrist. He's always trying to be the bridge maker here in this conversation. Yeah. He comes on to promote something that him and Daryl worked on, and then it kind of blows up in his face.
I know.
Yeah.
And the chat totally goes against Daryl. They messaged me when this was happening. I got private messages from people saying, Daryl Davis is throwing his career away. Oh my God. Daryl Davis is just being destroyed. Tune in on Timcast.
So it's interesting if someone thinks that him having Tim's audience not liking him is going to have any strong negative effect on Daryl Davis's career.
I knew this. I mean, a year ago, I listened to V Radio did an interview with Daryl Davis. And in that interview, I was like, oh yeah, Daryl Davis is woke. He's a normie. It completely makes sense.
Yes.
You think that he's on your side because he's doing this de-radicalization thing, but he really is doing it from kind of a liberal, progressive position. Well,
you have to be careful though, because what he's doing, I would say, the de-radicalization process that he's engaged in, and he's working with the Minds guy. They had this whole paper that I read that was anti kicking off people from platforms just because they're racist. It was anti-censorship.
Really? Wow.
Yes. So I don't think, to me, and this comes up in the conversation, he asked him to define what woke is. And to me, woke is specifically to awaken to the fact that liberal values are bad and to sort of adopt, these neo-Marxian values. So I wouldn't throw that label at Daryl so easily as you are, Adam.
Right.
I've not actually watched him speaking before. I've been in conferences with him, but I've never had the opportunity to actually watch him speak. Mm-hmm. And I just can't imagine that someone who talks KKK members out of being in the KKK is going to fail to distinguish between an actual white supremacist and just a normal American.
Exactly.
Right. I agree. Yeah.
You don't agree?
Well, no, I
No, we persuaded him. That's what he said.
I'm not. I haven't been persuaded. We don't know. We don't know until we ask Daryl Davis directly. Daryl Davis, what do you think the level of white supremacy is in America?
Sure, but I think that we can infer that he doesn't think everyone's a Nazi.
No, obviously not. But the question is it 60%? Is it 70%? Do we live in a white... I think wokeness... You have to take that into account when you're categorizing people who are woke, because people who are woke believe, Donald Trump was elected because we live in a white supremacist nation and the entire Republican Party is full of racists. That's what they believe.
You've got to remember that they operate under a different definition of white supremacy than Daryl Davis does.
Right, an academic definition. But for all we know...
a lunatic definition.
Well, for all we know, Daryl Davis buys... For all we know, Daryl Davis buys into that, though. That's until we ask him, we don't know.
Censorship, because I do believe a bit of censorship is necessary. Otherwise, you have a wild zoo of people eating each other. So you've got to create a little bit of a just sensorial atmosphere, in my opinion.
Well,
Maybe we can talk about that later.
Okay,
Well, just to add to that
Jesus.
point, real quick, some content is illegal. Of course. Child abuse. It's got to be censored. And that means someone goes in, has to remove it, right?
Dude, Daryl, I just want to point out that you rocked with Chuck Berry. I didn't know. For 37, you said 37?
32 years.
32 years, made keys with Chuck? I mean,
played keys.
he's credited with like inventing rock and roll, right?
He did invent rock.
So you kind of invented rock and roll with him.
No, I came long after. Johnny Johnson was his original piano player. I was born in 1958, so right at the peak of rock and roll.
That is hot. Thanks for
So
coming,
cool.
brother. All right. You guys want to get started?
Well, we got Lydia.
Yeah, I am technically here as well. I just wanted to say, too, we were late getting up to the studio today because all of us who were supposed to do the sound check were so enthralled by what Daryl was telling us. So I'm really looking forward to this evening's conversation. I know the chat likes to laugh at me for being excited about my guests, but I'm excited about this conversation for sure.
It's going to be great. Before we get started,
So there's your intro foreshadowing that kind of goes sideways.
Awesome. I love it.
when did you? So we can just get started with your story for people who aren't familiar. Do you want to? So just in terms of the context, I want to talk about modern politics and all this stuff and where we are now. But I think your history might lend some understanding to other people. How did you? You're famous for being the. How did you describe it? You inspired people to de-radicalize the Klan's members.
Okay, so to give you a little bit of background on myself, as I said, I'm 64 years old, but I grew up as the child of parents in the U.S. Foreign Service. So I grew up as an American Embassy brat. I was born in '58. I began traveling around the world at the age of 3 in 1961. And how it works is you get assigned to a country for 2 years, you come back here to the States, you're here for a few months, maybe a year, and then you're assigned to another country abroad. So my first exposure to school was overseas. I did kindergarten, first grade, third grade, fifth grade, seventh grade, and all the schools I went to overseas, this is back in the 1960s, my classmates were from Nigeria, Japan, Russia, Czechoslovakia, Germany, France, Italy, Sweden. Anybody who had an embassy in those particular countries, all of their kids went to the same school. So that became my baseline as to what school was supposed to be about. I had all these colors. You guys here are too young to remember black and white TV, but you know about it. I remember black and white TV, and I remember when color TV came in. It was like, wow, it's like a whole new dimension, right? You know, you never wanted to see black and white TV again. You saw something in living color. Okay, well, every time I would come back home from overseas, back to my own country, the United States, it was like going from color TV to black and white, you know, because we did not have that amount of diversity in this country, in our schools. When I would come back, I would either be in all black schools or black and white schools, meaning the still segregated or the newly integrated. Just because Brown versus the Board of Education desegregated schools in 1954, it didn't mean that integration took place overnight. It took years and years.
But even in many cases, still, it's not.
Exactly. In fact, the Prince Edward County, Virginia, shut down. They refused to integrate schools, the public schools. They shut down all public schools in Prince Edward County, Virginia, not for 5 days, not for 5 weeks, not for 5 months, for 5 years. Years, okay? Imagine how much education is lost in 5 years. When you go down there today, people my age, a lot of them are basically functional illiterates, because they missed 5 years of their education. If they were in third grade, they didn't go back to school until they were in 8th grade. That kind of thing. So you're dealing with that kind of thing. So look at kids today who have to go to school over Zoom over the last 2 years because of the pandemic. Some kids did better than others, but a lot of them did not do so well over Zoom, because they weren't getting that personal one-on-one education.
Well, as an aside, too, I don't want to derail too much. I think we're going to start seeing something similar because schools have started adopting ideological praxis in their teachings. Mm-hmm. So instead of telling a kid, 2 + 2 = 4, they're saying 2 + 2 = 5. Well, in what context are we talking? So you actually had a viral trend where teachers were saying,
this is like... This is such a bad, I don't know why Tim goes off on this. This is this is the worst way to try to introduce the topic to someone. But
is it CRT that he's introducing?
The whole 2 + 2 = 5. It's just so convoluted.
Yeah, totally.
Oh my God.
2 + 2 = 5.
In what context?
It was that 2.4 plus 2.4 equals 4.8, which is rounded up to 5. So if you round down 2.4, I don't know what kind of simplicity mess they were intending, but
it's an issue of tribalism, and this is it's part of the polarization. The idea is that the people on the right started saying 2 plus 2 is 4, and sooner or later the woke people are going to say it's not. And then a point was being made by, left tribal people where they're like 2 plus 2 could be 5. Here's how. And then they say 2.4 rounds down to 2.
This is straight sophistry. This is the perfect example of sophistry.
The 2 plus 2 equals 5 is sophistry.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Tim's not actually doing a great job of representing their argument there either. No. It was really based in the postmodern thought that, everything that we conceive of is a category, and so it's only because of an arbitrary social convention that we call 4-4. We can call it 5, and then there we go, 2 plus 2 equals 5. It's like, yeah, okay, but that's literally the opinion of a child, and I know this because
exactly.
No, I can give you a fucking example. My son, at 5 years old, worked out that was exactly how words are used, and so he had a brilliant day where he was saying, I'd like some pee-pee and poo-poo, please, Daddy. I mean food instead of, whatever, what we usually, and honestly, he found this fucking hilarious. Like, can you pass me the poo-poo, please, Daddy? And he would just like he's having the most hilarious time. And, I'm not saying it wasn't funny either, because it was funny watching him discover that he can do this. But it's like, okay, but it is literally a child's opinion that, like, these are just arbitrary. Yeah, they are arbitrary, but they're also defined by custom. Yeah. And since the custom is we all use them, that's what they mean. You know? So the 2 plus 2 is 5 thing is just, as you say, total sophistry on the part of the left.
I like that your child just stumbled upon the lunacy of postmodern social deconstruction, and that's like at his young age, it's just like everything's poo poo pee pee. This is hilarious.
Yeah, honestly, you should have seen it. It was a genuine discovery to him, and it was the best thing in the world. And then you see, PhD fucking carrying academics on Twitter coming out with the same fucking argument, and it's like, oh, you idiots, you fucking idiots. Like you're not nearly as smart as you think you are.
But 2.4 plus 2.4 is 4.8, which rounds to 5. Therefore, 2 plus 2 is 5. And then most people who are reasonable are just like 2.4 plus 2.4 is 4.8, end of story. If you want to make some weird equation that omits information for the sake of making your strange argument, I guess.
They need multiple cams on the show, because I want to see Daryl Davis's reaction to this. He's kind of falling asleep. What?
But they're teaching kids this. You also have a lot of the critical race theory ideology stuff in schools where the kids are getting more of this kind of social emotional learning as opposed to actually learning stuff.
Okay, so let's define 2 terms that you use just so that everybody's on the same page, not just us here, but everybody out here listening to us. So let's define the term woke. Your definition of the term woke and your definition of the term critical race theory.
Woke is typically a reference to like a left tribal identifier. So it has a reference to critical race theory, critical gender theory. It encompasses these different schools of thought. We got to define all these things. Critical race theory is basically it gets tough to actually. Is that a stink bug? Critical race theory is critical theory in a racial context. Critical theory is the political theory of the oppressed versus the oppressors. With Karl Marx back in the day, his critical theory was that the wealthy oppress the poor.
So I don't want, I guess I'm going to give Tim some hassle here. That's not what critical theory is. He's confusing critical theory with conflict theory. Conflict theory is the idea that, there's always this conflict over resources, and then Karl Marx kind of puts it through the lens of class is always going to be fighting each other. The bourgeoisie and the proletariat was going to be fighting. Critical theory came later, and that was proposed by people like, I'm trying to remember, what was that guy's name? Horkheimer and some other people.
He's a
in the Frankfurt School.
Adorno.
Right. And basically, critical theory is the idea that you need to like a normal theory is the theory of gravity. It's just descriptive. There's no moral prescriptions in it whatsoever. Just like, oh, things fall towards the center of the earth. Done. And critical theory is like, no, we need to construct theories of the world that help orient society towards what they view as a positive change. And generally it falls within some kind of, neo-Marxian or Marxist lens of deconstruction.
Well, the purpose is pure deconstruction. So every category can be attacked and deconstructed. Right. And Marcuse has a particular line that I can't remember exactly, but to paraphrase, it's something like, because he's complaining, he's moved to America, and he's complaining that America is never going to bring about the communist revolution, basically. No, I'm not joking. That's it. That core complaint.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And so the essence of critical theory is to deconstruct categories. So maybe that puts them on the path towards proper communism. And it's like, really, that's fucking speculative, mate.
Right.
I'm just saying we should ruin everything about our societies, and maybe then something better will come of it. It's like, yeah. So the purpose is essentially total liberation from categorization.
Well, the important element too is that critical theory is based in praxis, because if they're saying everything or our theories need to be oriented towards, quote unquote, fixing society, which they mean making it more Marxist, then that's how they get into this. Everything has to be oriented in this way. We have to have math problems that talk about, why we need to be Marxist and all the oppression going on in our society.
It's funny that they categorize deconstruction as positive change in the world. It's like tearing things down is positive.
Yeah, because typically that's not what criticism is. A criticism is actually a way of bolstering something that already exists.
Yeah, improvement on it. Exactly.
Right. A criticism is to point out a flaw so the flaw can be corrected. But critical theory does the opposite of this. It points out a flaw in order to destroy.
Right. And I think what you point out, Adam, is very important, because they're coming at it from the perspective, what Sargon said about how they're like, we're never going to get the Marxist revolution in America. And it's because they're like, it's kind of that switch over to cultural issues and the realization that, American individual rights culture and this kind of like liberal culture is too powerful. And so if that's kind of the dominant force in the country and in the world to some extent, then that's where they come in this idea of we need to deconstruct everything. Because they say all of society, all of culture stems from these sort of evil, individual, liberal principles. So we just need to tear it all down so that, Marxism can fill this gap.
This is Gramsci's great contribution. Is like, look, you can't, the East is weak socially. Like, no one in Russia has any strong bonds. There are no organizations because the Tsar owned everything and then the communists own everything. But in the West, that's not the case. And the society itself will uphold the institutions. So you're never going to get a Lenin-style revolution against the state. And so you need to weaken and destroy the culture. And this is what Kimberly Crenshaw specifically cites in Mapping the Margins. Mm-hmm. So, there is a direct lineage from these things. But the thing is, right, I don't think we should go hard on Tim Pool here, because these are very complicated and lengthy things. And he's not doing a terrible job of representing it. It's not, it's very blurry, but he's not doing a terrible job. And
he's wrong, but I understand what you're saying.
In specific terms, yes, he's wrong, but broadly, he's kind of right. He's generally in the right direction. So give him some credit there.
I will. I'll give him some credit.
I know how much of a stickler you are.
Do you want to give? There were people in the chat asking about why Sitch has TDS, Tim Derangement Syndrome.
Yeah, why is that, Sitch? Is it because he's a better centrist than you?
No. Listen, in the early days, and I said I'm not going to be too hard on Tim in this conversation. Okay, I do think that from a strategy perspective, he does very poor in this conversation. He should be trying to get Daryl on his side, and I think he comes off as trying to win the conversation, which is the wrong way to approach it. But generally, my problem with Tim, and I said this a million times, is that I viewed Tim as the chosen one.
The chosen
one. Okay. Tim was Anakin Skywalker. He was the chosen one to bring balance to the Force. Yeah. And in his early days, I don't know, he complained so much about how the media was clickbait oriented and how the media was polarizing and making everyone tribal and crazy, and everything was outrage culture. And he just sort of, as time went on, he realized, oh, the reason the media does this is because this is what makes you shit tons of money and makes you blow up. And so he kind of became, in a lot of respects, the criticisms he was leveling at the mainstream.
But he did support Trump, so, you know, I can forgive
Well,
him.
there you go. I guess that makes it okay, right?
Yeah.
So there you go. So that's where my main criticism of Tim comes from.
Hey, no. This is you're falling into George Lucas's view of balance, where it's all one side and none of the other. No. If you've got a bunch of crazies on the left who are
I see.
Like insane, you've got to have insane radicals on the right to balance them out.
Well, no, I'm not. My criticism was really more levied not at his positions, but the way in which, as I said, he was sort of fighting against like a lot of clickbait and tribalism and polarization. He sort of realized that you need to do all these things to get a big audience.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of, so I kind of view him as a sellout to some extent.
Ooh,
so
shots fired.
There's your shots fired. Now I am.
It's a high standard though, isn't it?
Well, here's the thing. Because a lot of people say like, you know, Tim is better than most, and that's true. But I guess it's since I viewed him as the chosen one, I put him on a pedestal. So like the standard was set so high.
This is his fault.
It is. Well, I'm not whether it's his fault or my fault, you know, regardless. But this is just my feelings on the matter. So I viewed him as basically just killing all the younglings, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I know, real shots fired. Jeez.
Tim Pool killed all the younglings in the Jedi Temple because he wanted to save Padme. And when I say Padme, I mean get his YouTube numbers boosted.
I remember when Tim Pool was making a highly produced video once a day on his main channel and barely doing anything on his second channel, you know, rant oriented, what is really his mainstay now. And I remember he made this video that he was just completely demoralized. He was like, I'm not making any money doing this. This is way more work than I can continue to put in. And this is just not a sustainable model. And he was at his wit's end. Like he was not the Tim Pool that we know today. And now look at it. He's got this giant studio. He's got a compound going. He's got this huge live show. You know, he's going
to get Waco'd by the U.S. government.
Yeah, he's.
Whenever I hear the word compound,
hopefully that doesn't happen. But I mean, he's getting like. Aren't the cops showing up at his place like once a day now?
He's been swatted like
people are swatting him.
Yeah.
Right.
So hopefully it doesn't go that route. But anyway, like I'm saying, like he's completely. I mean, this is a Cinderella story here, Sitch. How can you turn down? How could he still be the chosen one, and say no to $500,000 a month? I think
there's a
ad revenue.
I think because. You know, he could still have, you know, the making 6 videos a day and all this other stuff with just being more nuanced, I guess, in his takes, obviously.
No, you can't. You can't make this kind of...
Okay, maybe you're right. I guess the path to success is just evil and there's nothing we can do about it. we're going to take the black pill on this.
Well, I'm just saying, it kind of is. But why... Okay. I mean, this is the whole point. Absolute power... corrupts absolutely.
Well, I don't know. I mean, look at Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's wildly
corrupted. Absolutely.
Well, he's not. He's definitely not. I mean, he's not. He's not what he used to be, Sargon. You have to admit that. He's definitely not nonpartisan.
Sure, he's based now. Yeah.
See, Sargon just like Joe Rogan
if Tim Pool had become Hassan, Sargon, would you be saying the same thing?
Of course not.
No, I'd be saying he's cringe.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
I appreciate
why
that.
Would I?
I appreciate that Carl is very open in his biases on the matter.
Well, am I supposed to pretend that I'm like neutral when it comes to like?
No, I don't want you to pretend anything. I want you to anything. But what I was to say, Adam, is that Joe Rogan is like the most wildly successful podcaster out there, and I think he's still maintained a lot of his, you know, nuanced, enlightened centrism throughout his success.
Right.
Now he's a very different model than Tim, so maybe that's the difference. He's not like a politically oriented channel, so maybe.
So you're saying Tim could dial it back a bit and still be as successful? You think?
Not as successful, probably, but still very.
I don't think Tim's particularly radical. That's the thing. Like,
I don't think he's radical either.
So he's, I don't think he's like extremely left or right. I think he's just actually more clued in than most centrists to the problem of the left.
I agree. I think he's very. I think he knows where his audience is, and I think he does play to them.
Sure, and I'm not saying he doesn't, but I also think that a charitable interpretation is that he has experienced the problem of the left firsthand, and so is just not taking any of their shit. And he's not like, he wouldn't do the same with the alt-right. If all the media outlets were alt-right and they were acting in the same way that the left is acting, I'm sure that he would take the same approach.
I don't know, because I don't think it's his experience with the left that's pushed him this direction. I think it's really...
Well, I've talked to him. I'm friends with him.
Okay,
I'm friends with him.
There you go.
I know exactly what his experience is.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But
conversations about.
I'm saying I think mostly it's him playing to his audience.
No, his support of Trump probably ended up becoming because A, Trump was a better choice than Hillary, and B, Trump did a lot of good things.
I'm not. My opinion on Tim was shifting way before Trump. Like, it has nothing to do with really Trump.
Well, maybe, and I'm not saying you're wrong, because we've all got that sort of material incentive, right? So there's nothing wrong with pointing that out, but also that doesn't mean that he doesn't also have like legitimate like moral concerns about the way things are.
Oh, I don't disagree. Yeah, sure. I'm not saying that he just lies about it. I'm not saying anything like that.
I don't think he lies about anything, really, does he?
Right.
Anyway, Sitch is like.
What? I just think your standards for him are really
painfully silent there.
What?
He said, Sargon said, I don't think he lies about anything.
I don't think he lies about anything either. Okay, I think he frames things and chooses stories in very one-sided ways to appeal to his audience.
Sure.
That's what I think.
Right.
And we do and we've been accused of this too.
Because they're accusing it of us now in the chat.
Yeah, because we cover mostly insane leftists, 90% of the time or 80% of the time,
Well, that's because we can't get Quackademic Agent on. So what do you
true.
What do you want?
Okay,
that's true.
This whole thing with you guys and Academic Agent.
Quack, please. You're on our show.
Please.
It's fucking insufferable to watch you two talking.
He has a name.
Yeah, it's a girl's name as well, incidentally.
Right.
Look, AA is a good guy. I like AA.
No, he's not. Oh my God.
Right? No. Right.
He's like fucking tweeting shit like, we can never trust the redacteds. And then it's like, what is redacted? Oh, it's the Jews. Okay. So like, I don't know what you're talking about.
That ain't cool. That's not cool.
Yeah, but that's your liberal bias, isn't it? Right?
No, it's my liberal bias. I don't like someone who's a fucking anti-Semite. What?
Well, yeah, but I'm not saying it's wrong to have a liberal bias when it comes to these things. Right?
Okay, there we go. Yes, there you go. Exactly.
But like Daryl Davis is a good point, right? Where it's like, look, it's better to befriend and de-radicalize these people than just stigmatize them.
Sure.
Well, that's what we think.
Don't say sure when you're busy stigmatizing.
You think, okay, I understand. You're saying I should be trying to befriend Quackademic and destigmatize and be like, listen, I'm Jewish, okay? I'm not such a bad guy. Why are you hating on the Jews? Listen, there's lots of Jews that are anti-woke, okay?
Look, he actually doesn't spend a lot of time talking about Jews either, right? This is not like a mainstay of his view.
He spends more than most.
Atlanta parent filed complaint over alleged segregation of classrooms. This wasn't a white right-wing racist who created this. It was a progressive white woman who created white only. I'm sorry. I think this was actually a black principal. In the school, they segregated all the black students under the guise of critical race theory, saying that there's an idea that came from Derek Bell. Are you familiar with Derek Bell? Mm-hmm. He believed that...
See, I feel like this is a missed opportunity because if they had looked into the prom stuff, you could be like, that's really fucked up and bad. And then you can frame it like, this is what the CRT movement wants to bring back. They want to bring back this thing that we agree is bad. And he's kind of trying to do that, but I feel like you have to acknowledge Daryl's example first, as opposed to just brushing it off.
Yeah. Plessy versus Ferguson Act. That separate but equal was the right way to approach racial issues. I believe it was Derek Bell, so I don't have the book pulled up in front of me. One of the arguments that I've heard, at least him be attached to, and I heard quite frequently with the Black Lives Matter protests, was that before desegregation, the black community had their own wealth their own neighborhoods, and they had their own economy. Segregation took a weaker economy in the black community and forced it into the white economy, putting it underneath it, allowing white people to then oppress black industry and black business. That is the justification they use for bringing back segregation. The actual argument among the woke that Plessy v. Ferguson was right. And I come from a second generation mixed race family who told me the stories of life before Loving v. Virginia and the Civil Rights Act and the things they went through getting spit on. I'm sure you know better than
Sure.
even I do, because I grew up after the fact. And so when I started hearing the things that were coming out of the modern iteration of the left and critical race theory, I said, those are bad racist things we should oppose.
Okay, so now let's understand something. Okay, so when you say that, they say, okay, all white people are oppressors, all white people are racist, all black people are victims, and they'll always be victims. No, I don't agree with that. That's not the way it is, okay?
But that's the core definition of critical race theory.
No, it's not the core definition of critical race theory.
I got to stop you.
Basically, critical theory.
Critical theory was Marx's approach to class-based oppression. And he said, the rich oppress the poor. Kimberly Crenshaw, in her opening chapter, literally says, white people oppress black people. It is critical race theory.
No, I disagree with that. I'd have to see that because I've seen Kimberly Crenshaw interviewed. Okay, and she has been challenged with that by the other guy. What's his name? Kendi or somebody.
Ibram X. Kendi?
Yes. Okay.
Well, they're
two different
both.
schools.
They're both the same school.
No.
So
he's got to be talking about that interview because they talk about Kendi in that interview.
Do you think he's talking about that? Because I looked forever. I couldn't find. And if someone knows what he's referring to.
But doesn't Joy ask her, is Kendi a critical race theorist? They go through all these different people that they're being accused of being critical race theorists.
That seems vaguely familiar.
Yeah.
And we can watch that clip again at some point in the future. Maybe that's what he's referring to.
Maybe we'll watch it on Tuesday. Well, I'll watch it again and we'll report back on Tuesday.
Right. But I wish I would be curious, he should have said, well, how are you defining CRT? Instead of just cutting him off, say like, well, what is your definition of CRT?
Well, he seems
and then trying to understand like where it comes from exactly.
He seems to have the attitude though that there are all these different schools of thought on CRT. And
yes,
he's kind of doing the same thing that Dialogue always does, where he says, this is I don't subscribe to that type of critical race theory, but there's this type that I do subscribe to.
Right. And there are multiple types or views within CRT framework.
Right.
And that's true, but the overall framework is all still based around the idea that, liberalism sucks and we need to overthrow it. And the system is inherently racist because it was created by white racist people in the 1700s. Yeah. So there is difference in it, but there's still a framework. But this is what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. People are saying, oh, he's pro CRT. I don't know where that's coming from. It might come from later in the conversation when they start talking about reparations, that maybe that's where people draw that from. But it seems like he has a very normie take. Because I've literally heard all these arguments from my dad. Arguments from other normies.
He is arguing in favor of CRT. I mean, they are embroiled in this battle of...
He's arguing in favor of teaching people the correct history, which he thinks
perceives as CRT.
Because based off of dishonest articles, that's what they try to claim CRT is.
Right, yeah.
Which it's not.
I'm waiting for him to just stand up and say, Tim, this is a right-wing conspiracy that you're forwarding here.
He doesn't say that.
I know, but he's thinking it. He is.
Well... But it's interesting because he's working with the Minds guy. And that's why I was very depressed by Tim's chat and Tim's comment section, who are so quick. It's funny because the point of having Daryl on the show is that Daryl is supposed to be this guy who fights against tribalism.
Oh, I know.
Very effectively.
Irony.
And he does. Right. And the point of having him on and the point of, talking with the Minds guys, okay, we're supposed to figure out how to fight tribalism. And it's nothing like Tim's comment section. That's not, and I don't want to be too unfair. There were lots of people in the chat, especially in the beginning. That's weird. You look at the beginning of Tim's chat, everyone's like, Daryl Davis is a hero. And then very slowly it becomes he's racist, he's the pro CRT, he's a horrible racist. One of the top comments is something no wonder Daryl gets along with Klans members because he's racist. Like it just sort of degrades.
Well, that's
into
pretty funny. You got
it. It is a funny joke, but it just degrades into the very tribalism that they're supposed to be fighting against. And if you're like, and this is just from like Daryl having like these very normie takes on shit.
Right. Yeah. No.
Which, and maybe it's a problem. Like maybe people who listen to a lot of political content on the internet just don't know how the normal person, or not the average person who doesn't watch political content on the internet views the world, and they view the world so different than they do.
I know.
And you don't, and the goal is not to just destroy them for that. The goal is to try to get them on your side.
There are these narratives that you can just sort of absorb via osmosis. It's sad when those narratives are so far from factual reality, because more and more we're seeing that. I mean, the Kyle Rittenhouse is a perfect example of this, and especially a bunch of people trying to say, you know, we told you so over the recent shooting, which appears to be driven fully by racism. To say that, you know, to compare Kyle Rittenhouse to that guy is just an affront on reality.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
My family was the second black family to move into our neighborhood. My father was a senior Foreign Service officer. My father was Richard Nixon's interpreter when he was vice president of the United States. When he went to Russia, he was vice president to Dwight Eisenhower. He went to Russia to have what was called the kitchen debate with Nikita Khrushchev, the famous kitchen debate. My father was Nixon's interpreter. My father was one of the first black Americans to speak Russian, all right, fluently. My father spoke 9 languages fluently, all right. My father was one of the first black Secret Service agents in this country, all right. And then and the Secret Service would only let him go but so high. He did such a good job interpreting Russian for Nixon. Nixon came back and told Eisenhower about him, and Nixon and Eisenhower called my dad into the White House, and Eisenhower told my dad, "You have gone as far as you can go in the Secret Service. You should take the Foreign Service exam. You can go higher there." So my dad took the Foreign Service exam and became a Foreign Service officer. But there was still a ceiling for black people in the Foreign Service. But let me just finish, okay? So in Potomac, Maryland, my dad had a Mercedes, second black family in the area. My dad was getting pulled over in our own neighborhood. I was a teenager.
What?
Okay?
When was it? Like what year was it?
We were there in 1971 through. See, I still own the house there, but I have another house where I live. 1971. He died in 2018. So between that, more black people started moving in probably in the mid to late 80s. All right. The cops thought my father walked into the neighborhood and drove out. So when I turned 16, I got what all black parents give their young boys. It's called the talk. Have you heard of the talk?
I had the talk too.
Okay, you had the talk
tell
too.
me about it.
Okay, the talk is what black parents give their young boys, especially when they start driving. You know, when you get pulled over by the police, even if the cop is wrong, do not argue with them. Just take the ticket, sign it. We'll go to court. We'll settle it in court, because you can get shot.
But see, this is the issue I have with. I think what you're saying is racist. The idea that black people exclusively do that, or it's predominant among black people, when that's actually a normal thing most people do.
No.
So
no.
Perhaps it's a class issue, because all of my friends and myself had the exact same talk in the exact same way. I was told, no matter what happens, when you're pulled over, you turn the light on, you turn the car off, keys and wallet on the dashboard, hands on the steering wheel, you roll down the window, and you don't move. You answer the officer's questions. You do not argue with him. Do you understand? Yes. Say it back to me.
I'm sorry, Tim, but you were 100% wrong.
So
Bam.
is this a class thing? Did you? I had not had any talk like this at all. Did you have any sort of talk?
Of course.
You did?
I mean,
Wow.
I had family in law enforcement, so they would just give me from the law enforcement perspective. You know, you gotta.
But is that why they were having the talk?
Yeah,
Because
of course.
the law?
They're
No,
like,
but-
you have
okay.
to respect the police, because you know they're
That's a little
obviously
bit
their
different
life
than
is
what
on the
Tim's-
line, and
It's a little different than what Tim and Daryl are talking about.
yeah.
So,
Okay.
when it's just
No.
I think
Okay,
it's
so-
fair to say that you're older than I am. we agree on the racism of the past, and I absolutely
we
agree. I completely
we
agree.
can agree on the racism of the past, but we can also talk about the racism of today.
And I agree a lot on it. What I don't agree with is that this, it's strange to me to hear the idea of the talk. Perhaps white suburban upper class WASPs don't do that. But growing up in the south side of Chicago, in mixed race areas, in gang territory,
I'm from Chicago. Anyway,
and you're from Midway?
I'm from Chicago, 500 East 33rd, right on the south side.
Right, yeah, Midway. So I'm on 47th, 49th, and Laramie. So I'm 2 blocks away from the LeClaire courts. I had the talk too. Mm-hmm. My friends all had the talk.
Is that like a bad area?
I don't know. I've only been to Chicago once.
Okay. I'm wondering if Tim just grew up in a fucking terrible area. Like, that's why he's getting harassed by cops so much.
Could be. He might have been a troublemaker. He might have been hot wiring cars and shit. Who knows?
There you go. Look at that beanie.
Yeah.
I bet he was hot wiring all sorts of cars.
Yeah. They called him the mechanic. The mechanic pool.
The talk existed among white kids, Polish kids, Mexican kids, Asian kids, and black kids.
I think the nuance is you have the talk for the inner city kid. Every inner city kid's going to get that talk, but you're saying in the suburbs, black kids get the talk.
He's from the south side of Chicago, same as me.
But
different part of south side.
Yeah, but also here in Potomac, Maryland, Lily White, Potomac, Maryland. Okay, now.
I give Ian credit there. He's trying to bridge the divide.
He's trying to break it up.
He's trying to bridge the divide. And he's probably, what he's saying is probably true. You were watching a video, remember?
I do remember.
Yes. We only watched 20 minutes of like a 3-hour video.
Oh, now we're knuckling under. Jeez, I can't.
We'll see. We'll watch some more, and then depending on how slow we get through it, we'll jump ahead to where Tim starts reading super chats at the end when things kind of get spicier. If it takes too long.
I'm down.
I want to read some more super chats. So there's a bunch that are saying very similar things. So I'm not going to read. I'm just going to give the general ideas. There's 2 interesting ideas. Many people have said that they think you're a racist.
Fine.
And a couple right here. We have one from Kyle. We have one from Kevin D, who both said, I'm white. Kyle says, as a white dude, I've had the talk. I'm pretty sure everyone has the talk. Kevin says, I'm white, grew up in the middle class family in a suburb in Los Angeles, and I had the talk. And others have said that they think your view of the talk being explicitly a black thing shows that you've been radicalized.
I didn't say explicitly.
Well, you said it's something that black families do.
I said black families do it. I didn't say explicitly. Well, that's your word.
Well, so the general idea that I guess people absorbed by that is that you think it's exclusive.
Listen, I never said it was exclusive. I didn't use the word exclusive. I didn't use the word explicit.
Well, so then we can clarify.
I said black families give their boys, when they turn 16, something called a talk. I said black families do that. Did I say black families do it exclusively?
Well, no.
Did I say black families do it explicitly?
Right. So
no, I did not. So that guy is putting words in my mouth.
Well, no. So I guess the idea they're conveying is that when you say black families do it, they interpret you as saying as if it's not happening elsewhere.
Guess what? Black families listen to James Brown. Does that mean no white people listen to James Brown?
I listen to James Brown.
So do black families exclusively listen to James Brown?
Well, so you're clarifying.
I'm clarifying. I'm clarifying his BS. Is what I'm calling BS on him. Now, white. Hold on. Let me tell you about the talk. Okay, the talk that black kids get is the one that I described, about the same one that you described about keep your hands on the wheel, don't argue, sign the ticket, we'll fight it in court. Okay, otherwise, you could come home in a box. All right. Well, so now a lot of white people get the talk, but most of the white people that get the talk is a different talk.
How do you know?
Because I have a lot of white friends, okay, who tell me.
Let's hear it.
I have a lot of black friends who tell me something.
Well, that's fine. Okay,
that makes no sense.
But hold on.
That makes no sense.
You haven't even heard what I said.
Yeah, let him
talk,
Tim. Come on.
Huh?
You're generalizing based on race.
You said you had a lot of black friends.
I was making a sarcastic point to counter your racist point.
You haven't.
Oh, shit. Tim fucking calls him racist to his face. Oh, this is deteriorating quickly.
Do you think Tim read the chat and is now being guided by it?
Yes.
Okay, I wondered that. I don't know if I'm being too cynical here, because this is such a ludicrous argument to have.
Daryl Davis is calling people in the chat racist, who I don't think he should be calling racist.
Sure.
So he kind of did draw first blood here, but
first of all, he did, and Tim missed it. He's saying that he's conceptualizing that people can say racist things and not be racist themselves.
Right.
Which I understand, but I would disagree with that conception. You can argue that, but he just said, "Oh, well, you're." Did he say you're saying what you said is racist, or he said, "Are you racist?" You're being
that
racist.
makes no sense.
You haven't even heard what I said. You cut me off
generalizing
already.
Let him. I want to do the talk. I want to hear the talk.
You just said you had a lot of black friends.
I was making a sarcastic point to counter your racist point.
You haven't even let me finish my point. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna finish my point. Okay, a lot of white kids get the talk,
right?
But it's not the same talk as the black kids get the talk because they don't have the same experiences. The talk that a lot of the white kids get is when they start driving. Don't get pregnant. Don't come home pregnant. Use condoms. I don't.
What the fuck? No, I'm talking about the talk when you get pulled over. This is complete
listen. Don't fuck the police officer.
Yeah. Don't get pregnant. Don't let the police officer rape you and get you pregnant.
Well, no, he's saying that like
don't suck off the police officer.
He's saying that. They're saying that now they have the freedom to have a car. Don't go banging random. Don't go banging. Now you have freedom. You have to not just get someone pregnant.
We had at the very beginning of this. We both discussed whether or not we got the talk. I said that I did. The talk was not about my mom never said don't get girls pregnant. I never got this talk.
That's funny. I got that talk, but not the police talk.
Oh, you got the don't get girls pregnant talk?
Yes, it's interesting.
My mom was like, I want to be a grandmother. Go get a lot of girls pregnant.
Oh my God.
No, I'm kidding. That never happened. Yeah.
That's funny.
Father or grandmother before my time.
I think
that's the talk that a lot of white kids get. I challenge you. Hold on. I challenge you to. You say you have a lot of black friends. Great.
No.
Hold on. I know you're being. Well, maybe you don't have any, but find some. Okay.
Okay.
Hold on.
Oh shit! This just got way good.
I know.
Oh, hold on.
I'm going to clarify that. When you made a racist generalization, I made a sarcastic point.
What was my racist generalization?
That you have a lot of white friends, therefore you know what white people in general do.
Did I say I know what white people in general do?
Yes, you did.
I said.
It is a little ironic, this coming from Tim. I drive around and saw a lot of Trump signs. Therefore, Trump's coming
totally. It's so easy to fall into this thinking. You got to fight against it. But Tim
this
is
the
right.
natural. Yeah. This is unfortunately the natural way to think.
All white people are this way. All black people are this. Yeah. It's
bad. That's true. And you have to fight against this. And we're all guilty of this, including.
Oh yeah.
But to be fair, I don't think it's such a large step to assume that the conversations that black parents give their children is different than the conversations white parents give to their children in regards to interacting with the police. I don't think that's such a stretch of the imagination to think that's happening.
That they're different?
Yeah, that they're different conversations.
I think they are different.
And now you can say that the fear, and I guess it would also depend on where you live too, that maybe for a lot of black families, if they instill a fear in their child about this via the talk, that fear is unjustified, and that could be very likely to be true. But that's not really what is being discussed at this conversation anyway.
Yeah.
Most white kids get this talk.
No,
I didn't
they
say
don't.
all white. Yes, they do.
You don't know
Yes,
that.
they do. Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Did you grow up in a white family in a suburb?
I grew up in white neighborhoods.
Look, now he's like fighting everything.
Yeah, but now Tim Pool's giving standpoint epistemology.
Oh, he is. Yeah.
Unless you're white and grew up in a white neighborhood, you can't. Well, but even that wouldn't mean any. That's a stupid talking point, because it's like, well, no, that's just my personal experience. Personal experience, being white, growing up middle class, I did not get the police talk. That doesn't mean that another white kid in a middle class situation didn't get the police talk.
Don't talk about my lived experience.
Right. I guess what would be useful is to say, well, let's throw this point about the talk away. What is the underlying thing that's trying to be argued, I guess? And I think the underlying thing that's trying to be argued by Daryl is that black people have a bigger fear of the police than white people do, on average.
You mean black
as a community
people have a bigger fear of the police?
I think I'm assuming that's what Daryl's argument is.
Yeah. No.
And maybe that would be the way to move the conversation forward, to just get to the underlying thing that's actually being discussed here.
Yeah.
White schools.
When we have people saying to us right now, it's not their experience. And you say, well, they're racist and wrong.
I didn't say they're racist and wrong.
You called the guy racist. You overtly said this man was racist.
I said what he said was racist. I didn't say he was a racist.
No, but this is a keynote.
Wait,
I hate that.
Didn't he? Wait, he didn't say the talk guy was racist. He said the being against the reparations frame was racist.
He's called everyone racist now.
No, that's not fair.
He's throwing the racists out like candy.
He didn't call that's not fair. That's not fair.
He called multiple super chatters racist though.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. I haven't spoken in a while. I need to say something. Seriously. We need to stop overtly calling people racists. I
will call a person a racist if I see that they are a racist.
Well, I'm just saying.
It's like, shut the fuck up, bitch.
Right.
I'll call you racist next.
I'm just saying, at this table, I know and love you all, and I know for a fact that nobody at this table is a racist. 100%. Maybe certain racial comments can be made, but I know that for 100%. Like 100%. So the fact that like these names are getting thrown around, I don't think it's really productive.
Well,
I'm not saying you can't call someone racist. I'm not saying racists don't exist. But I think we need to be very careful.
All this dude said is, as a white dude, I've had the talk. I'm pretty sure everyone has the talk.
Well, see, he's pretty sure everyone has the talk. So now you're going to defend him. He's pretty sure everyone has the talk.
Ooh.
But yet but you accuse me of saying all white people, and now I'm a racist and I don't know shit. But he says everyone, and you're not defending him.
Well, let me explain. When he says everyone, he means you too.
Everyone has the talk. I know a lot of people haven't had the talk.
Well, sure.
A lot of white people haven't had the talk.
Well, sure. But now you're just getting semantics.
No.
What?
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Listen. I didn't hear this part of the conversation. I didn't get through
You
this
checked
part.
out? This is like the best part.
I didn't finish it. I know, I didn't finish it.
This
What
is
Daryl just
insane.
said is a fucking solid. He just blew up Tim's argument.
Right.
He just destroyed the argument. Said, wait a minute. If it's not fair for me to make generalizations based on race about who gets to talk, it's not fair for this guy to make generalizations that everyone gets to talk. And then Tim gave a totally Vosh level response.
Right. You're just making semantics.
This is a semantic argument. What the fuck are you talking about? Holy shit.
Right.
That's crazy.
It's a giant generalization.
I think Tim has been bad. I think let me be clear. I think Tim has been bad at building bridges in this conversation, but hasn't been bad faith. But that's a bad faith argument.
Yeah.
At that moment to make.
Why is he not? I mean, he keeps pouring gasoline on this. The whole studio is going to go up in flames any minute.
Because it makes for a good stream.
But with Daryl, I thought Daryl Davis was his hero.
Yeah, but he looked at the chat.
Oh, okay.
He saw the chat had turned against Daryl.
If
you watch the chat turns against Daryl very quickly. It's not like the chat's on his side at those points. The chat turns against him in like 20 minutes in this conversation.
I got messages very quickly saying Daryl Davis is throwing his career away.
Right. Which is ridiculous. If you think that Tim Pool's audience has some sort of overlap with Daryl Davis's career, but I don't think people have a good conception of anything in terms of how internet politics affects the real world.
Yeah.
If Daryl Davis was on MSNBC and called Joy Reid racist, or said something like really fucked up, then I would agree. Okay, maybe he's thrown away his career.
Yeah.
But
Joy, you can't call Joy Reid racist.
Right. To Tim Pool's audience, this doesn't translate to anything. It's interesting that people were sending that to you, but people were saying to me that like, oh shit, like they're like the conversation got crazy. That's what I got.
No, I'm reacting to what he said.
So he
said everyone, and you didn't get on him, but you got on me for saying a lot of white people.
Because I don't like the racist generalizations. Like I don't like it when someone says one race does one thing.
This country is based on race. Okay, I believe there is only one race. It is a human race. Okay, one race. You and I are the same race. Ian and I, Bill and I are the same race. We all are the same race, the human race. But this country has divided us by color. And if you don't believe that, you need to go back and learn your history, which you apparently have not learned if you don't see that. And if they don't see that, this country is predicated on race.
But
this country was built on white supremacy and slavery at the bottom.
So I think a lot of people, especially me, we agreed with you with like so much of the historical problems and racism and civil rights and all that stuff.
But you think it's all over?
No, I literally said that wasn't.
So what's your point?
So when you say something that is dividing people based on race and people take issue with it, you recoil, you call them racist.
Do you not see this country dividing people based on race? You think we live in a post-racist society because we had a black president or something?
Oh, shit!
I've heard.
I think I kind of understand what Tim's saying, and I think there's validity to it, but I think he's rubbing up against the conflation of colorblindness being racism blindness. Yeah, and I think he's too close to that border in this conversation.
You think Tim is making that mistake, or Daryl?
I think he's not quite there, but he's close. He's kind of edging in the fog between colorblindness and racism blindness.
Right. Where we conceptualize colorblindness as a good thing, but racism blindness as a bad thing. You're saying
right.
Tim is kind of dipping a little bit into the racism blindness area.
He's not there, but
But Daryl Davis is completely in the CRT camp by now. You got to say, like, he's basically saying, well,
how so?
Maybe not. Maybe he is saying that there has been improvements, just not enough.
I think where people are saying he's in the CRT camp is that he said America is built on
racism, white supremacy.
Let me lose his exact quote.
Do you not see this country dividing people based on race? You think we live in a post-racist society because we had a black president or something? A lot of white people think that too.
Understand.
I've heard. What's your point?
So when you say something that is dividing people based on race and people take issue with it, you recoil, you call them racist.
Do you not see this country dividing people based on race?
Okay, well, that's too far.
We live in a post-racist society because we had a...
I think maybe because he said, the country was founded on white supremacy or built on white supremacy. I don't remember the exact language that he used.
He's saying that we don't live in a post-racist society.
But we
black
don't.
President.
Right.
No,
but we don't live in a post-racist society.
But we many times have said that, Obama is a pretty strong evidence that we've come a long way on racism.
Yes, of course. Right.
And now here Daryl Davis is saying, nah, Obama doesn't mean shit.
Well, I don't think that's fair to say that that's what he's saying. He's conceptualizing, and I think he's wrong, but he's conceptualizing the conversation with Tim. And I understand why he's doing this. Because part of the way Tim had the conversation with the whataboutism train in the beginning, as every time you say there's some problem that's racist, I'm going to counter it and say, no, or the racism is actually the Democrats' fault or something.
Right.
Which has been the way the conversation has happened in this entire 3-hour segment.
Do right? you? Yeah. You
so I understand why
Daryl Davis is like internalized all the CRT teachings, though. Right?
No, because this is what I was trying to get at before we changed subject slightly. I'm assuming what people are saying, he buys CRTs because he said that America's founded on white supremacy or something.
He's brought up the 1619.
Hold. Let me finish, please. Okay. Please. That's true, though. And maybe people don't really understand what CRT is, despite all our million streams on it.
Right.
America was founded on white supremacist principles. That's undeniable.
Right.
They literally said you have to be white to gain full citizenship, to gain the vote in our country. Mm-hmm. We had slavery legalized by the law. Mm-hmm. That's literally white supremacy. Yeah. Okay. That was a huge part of our country. The difference, the CRT argument, is they give the fruit of the poison tree argument. They say anything that comes out of that system that had white supremacy built into it must also be inherently tainted with the poison of white supremacy.
Right.
And that includes our Constitution, our democracy, every system and institution that comes out of our society.
The NAACP.
That'd be a funny thing to,
Well, I'm just
say to someone
saying.
like that, but right. And so that's the CRT argument, and that's why it's, to me, I mean, I don't hear Daryl making that argument, and the fact that he appears he's not advocating for a fucking revolution. He's not advocating to overthrow our democracy and replace it with fucking Marxism or something. He's like, I want an apology and I want vouchers for black people to go to college. Like, which you could disagree with, but that's not CRT. That's not even the ballpark of CRT.
How come they don't say that America was founded on property ownership, or America was founded on misogyny because women couldn't vote?
Well, what do you mean? Feminists say that all the time.
That America was founded on misogyny?
Of course. You never heard feminists say that?
It's not as big as the white supremacy thing.
Right, because that's
white supremacy is the go-to thing.
Well, because it's the most egregious thing. Right.
Okay.
If you say, "Oh, America is founded on misogyny," then the black intersectional person says, "Excuse me."
Right.
Excuse me, white lady.
Right. I was a slave. You just couldn't
Right.
vote. Yeah.
Right. America was founded on white supremacy. So that's part of the
sense.
intersectionality game. Is that
That makes sense. Yeah.
Right.
Slavery is worse than just not being able to vote.
Right.
But weren't women like chattel slavery?
When?
Weren't they married and?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not really. No.
It wasn't as bad as slavery. I think I can agree on that.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad you can
Let's see
agree
how
that being married off is not the same as being in chattel slavery.
Let's see how much worse this gets.
Okay.
A black president or something. A lot of white people think that too.
Understand.
I've heard white people say racism is over. We've had Obama.
Well, but we're not saying that. I'm saying,
See, we're not saying that.
Right. Yeah. But this is what I mean when I say that Tim didn't have this conversation properly if he wanted to actually build the bridge, because he didn't acknowledge anything really that Daryl is emotionally trying to get at. And that's part of why he's so defensive right now after, saying, "Oh, all people in chat are calling you fucking racist." You can't have a conversation with someone where you basically say, "Listen, I'm going to red pill you and tell you that so much of what you think is true is a lie." Okay. Which is essentially what Tim's trying to do. You can't have that conversation. Yeah. Right. You can't. Well, no, you can't have that conversation if you're not willing to give at all. You're only willing to take. And that's essentially why this conversation failed. There's no give, and there was mostly just trying to take.
Well, all Tim is saying is you're wrong over and over again, basically.
Right.
About
You're wrong.
everything.
You're wrong.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's only so much he can take. He's at his breaking point.
Things that I'll just say triggered me was this idea that there are certain things you've suffered that are either described only as a black experience, or in this instance, when you said black families give their kids the talk, the response was them saying, "I'm white and I've had the talk." And some people saying they feel like that was you showing you're radicalized to a racial component.
Well, that's pretty stupid, and that's pretty racist. So I just called somebody stupid, and I just called them racist. So now hold on. I can speak as a black man. So why is it when I say I as a black man got the talk, I am racializing something? Because I am black. That is my experience.
Said white people do X, and you're not a white person.
I didn't say white people do X. I said
you did.
I said I'm black.
And you said white people have a different talk. They do this.
They do.
You can't speak as a white person, can you?
I can speak. I can repeat what white people have told me.
But you don't.
Are you denying that white people have told me that? Are you calling them liars?
Tim, how dare you call white people liars?
That's not.
No, I'm asking you that question.
That has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Answer yes or no. Are you calling my white friends liars?
I'm calling them anecdotal.
Anecdotal. So you're saying that
this is so fucking infuriating to me.
It's bonkers.
Because but it's so one-sided. Because Tim's entire position is anecdotal. Everyone I know had to talk. This guy in the super chat said he had to talk. That's what Daryl said. Daryl said, "Wait a minute. This guy is giving you some broad generalization claim that everyone gets to talk, and you accept that. But you get triggered when I say black people and white people get a different talk. And then Tim's answer to that was, well, you're being semantical. It's like, no, that's the fucking argument you're making. And then Tim brings it back to this stupid fucking point.
Right.
And again, and Daryl's like, wait a minute. You're saying that my white friends are lying because they said that their lived experience doesn't conform with your argument? And he's like, well, that's anecdotal. Everyone in this conversation has an anecdotal argument. No one here has a fact.
Nobody's brought in a study or anything.
Yeah. No one's like, I have a study and they've surveyed and they've shown that, you know, black people on average have the talk and white people don't or something. Like no one has brought forth anything. This is all anecdotal.
All gut intuition.
Right. This is all gut intuition. It's all anecdotal. I don't know who the fuck's right, who the fuck is wrong in any of this conversation, but neither side, including Tim, doesn't get the pose some sort of moral high ground here about, you're being anecdotal.
Oh, he just did though.
I know he did. But that's why I'm like, this is triggering.
Tim can do it.
I doubt there's ever been a study on like the talk.
I'm gonna Google it. I think maybe there has been.
How would you even? What am I even looking for here?
Just Google parental talk about police brutality.
Parental talk about police by race study.
That they did not have the talk that I told you that they had.
No. Anecdotal means you heard.
I know what anecdotal means.
So the issue is, if you have your stories and they have their stories, it's a moot point. Meaning,
no, it's not a moot point.
Some white people experience the talk in great degrees.
Have you experienced everything I've experienced?
No. What you're saying,
and vice versa.
Yeah, dude, it's evidence. What you're saying is evidence, and then what these guys saying is evidence. None of it proves anything, but we're all giving our anecdotal evidence.
What do you mean? It doesn't prove anything.
Well, like our statements today, whatever you say and whatever I say, it doesn't prove it. It's just a piece of evidence towards the postulation.
I don't understand what you mean. It doesn't prove anything. So he tells me that he got pulled over at gunpoint and he got handcuffed and some guy tried to plant Adderall in his car. I just said it's a moot point. It didn't happen. It's just
well, that would be evidence that there is more crime towards people like him in that area or something like that. It wouldn't prove that it's always more crime towards people like him in that area. It doesn't prove it, but it's evidence suggesting that it's real. And I think you saying,
well, no, the question, the response would be, no, that proves that happened to Tim.
Right.
You couldn't make a broader argument to say that the police are targeting white people.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be
suggesting that it's real. It is real. He experienced it. I don't doubt that he experienced that.
It's actually on video.
Well, listen,
when you speak for the greater whole,
when it's on video or not,
Tim's like, I'll bring the video in.
Because that crap
it
was happening long before you were born.
So
I don't need the video to know that it happened. You know why I know it happened? Because it happened to me, not at gunpoint. Similar things. I've been hearing about that shit long before anybody had video cameras other than TV stations.
So it's interesting because basically,
did you find the study?
I found something that says there's a study.
Really? Holy shit!
It's not. I don't know why this article's written so dog shit.
These CRT people will study anything.
Well, I was gonna say it's interesting because basically Tim got very triggered because he perceived that Daryl was denying his lived experiences.
Right. Oh, that is triggering.
Daryl's very triggered because he feels like Tim is
denying his lived experience. I know.
Lived experiences, yeah.
They both feel disrespected.
Okay, here's the study. It's only 500 people, so not.
That's pretty good.
It's not great, but anyway.
I can't believe we're getting to the bottom of the talk here.
It doesn't give me the number though in the abstract, but it says research has shown that black parents are more likely than white parents to have conversations about race with their children. But few studies have directly compared the frequency and content of these conversations and how they change in response to national events. Here we examine such conversations in the United States before and after the killing of George Floyd.
Oh my God, no.
Black parents had conversations more often than white parents, and they had more frequent conversations post-Floyd. I guess not just about the place, it's just about race relations. White parents remained mostly unchanged, and if anything, were less likely to talk about being white and more likely to send colorblind messages. Wow. Black parents were also, we can see where this study came from. Black parents were more worried than white parents, both that their children would experience racial bias and that their children would perpetuate racial bias. That's interesting. A finding that held both pre and post George Floyd. Huh.
The white people talk is, don't be a racist piece of shit.
Let's see. Sampling nearly 1,000 parents, half recruited shortly before Floyd's death and half recruited after. Oh. So, okay, yeah, it's not the same parents. So there's 1,000. Okay, so this is larger. It's 1,000. 500 before, 500 after.
Right.
That's interesting.
What measuring the George Floyd effect?
Yeah, if there was an effect. Give me some numbers. Results. Percentage of parents reporting conversation based on race. It looks like there's been barely any change at all. I don't know if at least in the little chart they gave. Frequency of reported conversations, pre-Floyd, post-Floyd. I don't know. I'd have to look at the study when we're off air to really read it.
That's okay. So, I'm just amazed that there is a study.
I am amazed that there's a study too.
The talk.
I've
heard a lot of talk about the talk.
Right.
I've never heard any hard data on it though.
Apparently there's a bunch of these fucking studies. I'm kind of shocked.
Really?
Wait a minute.
Oh
or
my
just
God,
the same
they're
study?
referencing other studies.
Oh no, this is the same study.
Come on, let's hear this.
Okay, let's hit it.
You say you experienced something, like the talk, or a white person told me the talk, and then a white person from their own personal experiences say that this is what happens to me. Why would they be wrong or racist?
Did I say they were wrong? Listen, there are white people, yes, who get the talk. Keep your hands on the wheel. Don't argue with the cops, whatever. All right. But there are also plenty of white kids who get the talk. Don't come home pregnant. Use condoms. All right. We get the talk when we get stopped by the police. When we start driving, obey the speed limit. Don't do anything to raise suspicion to cause somebody to pull you over. Because hold on.
Are you saying that doesn't happen to other people? It
does not happen with the frequency. Like I told you earlier. Hold on. I'm telling you, the frequency, okay, which you debated with me and was the first time you called me a racist. I told you that I have been pulled over more times than you have, and I have. Whether you want to accept it or not, I have.
That's objectively true. You're older than me too.
It doesn't matter. I still have, even if you and I were the same age. Okay?
In the last 5 years?
Yes. Okay, yes. Now, I want you to do something, both of you, and you too if you want. Here's an experiment, okay? You said you had some black friends. I assume you do. You also have some white friends. I want all of y'all, ask 10 of your white friends, male friends, what is the first thing, and you people out there listening, you do the same thing. Ask 10 of your white male friends, what is the first thing that goes through your mind when you're driving home late at night, let's say 2 o'clock in the morning, whatever, from a date or from getting off work, whatever, and you see those lights come on in your rear view mirror, those flashing lights. You're being pulled over. Maybe you were speeding, maybe you weren't, maybe you crossed, swerved, whatever, maybe you didn't, whatever, you're being pulled over. What's the first thing that goes through your mind?
Hide the weed.
I will bet you 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 of those white males, your friends, are going to say, I hope I don't get a ticket. I hope I don't get points on my license. I hope my insurance doesn't go up. You ask the same question to 10 of your black male friends, they're not going to say anything about a damn ticket or points on the license or insurance. They're going to say, I hope I don't get shot. I hope I don't get beat up.
Why
Because there is a more frequency of violence against black male drivers than white male drivers. Okay? Just like there is more of a frequency of blacks being sentenced to death and whites for the same crime get to go to prison for life or life with parole. Okay? That is called racism.
I don't buy any of this.
Well, I buy half of it.
Well, I mean, maybe it's disproportionately, but he's acting like the cop initiates the violence. Normally, it's the driver that initiates the violence or doesn't, tries to run or resist arrest, or the violence is usually instigated by the driver.
So what I mean when I say that I believe half of it is I believe if you ask that question to white people, that you would get way more. I don't know if it's 9 out of 10, but I believe you get way more white people that their first thought and most of their thought, maybe not Tim, because Tim has like this weirdo experience with, you know.
Tim is like, I hope I don't get raped.
Yeah, since Tim has like the worst fucking interactions place ever. I think the average white person who's probably had the average experience with police officers would probably think, I hope I don't get a ticket.
Right.
And I think, especially right now, that a lot of the average black people, regardless of the experience they've had with police officers, would say, I hope I don't get shot or killed or something.
Because of George Floyd, the George Floyd effect.
Right. Now, I would say the reason for that isn't because it actually happens more, because I don't think it does. It's all perceptual.
CNN, yeah.
Right. It's all because the mainstream media over-reports all the incidents of any time there is a black person who is wrongfully attacked or shot by the police.
They aren't even wrongfully attacked. They report it that way, but they're rightfully attacked.
Right. Or even, even often when people are rightfully attacked, they report it as if they're wrongfully attacked. Right. And so it creates a perception in people's minds that this is this massive problem and this is happening all across the country. But we saw this when we talked to Christian. I said, there isn't a disproportionate amount of unarmed black men killed by the police. And he doesn't believe me because he looks at the news and he just sees them reporting this constantly. So he thinks this is reality.
Yeah.
But that's how like 90% of the population, 99% of the population, they just assume that the news is telling them something that is true.
Yeah, it's hard to bust out of that mindset too.
Right.
You're like, what? Why would the news be lying to me? You're telling me the news is lying? CNN is lying?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah, that's their business model, lying to you.
Well, the business model is outrage.
Yeah.
That's the business model. The business model right now is outrage. And they're going to tell you the story that outrages you the most. So,
who is the guy that caused the Kyle Rittenhouse thing? I still can't remember his name.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. That guy wasn't driving home innocently and got pulled over by the police.
No, that guy was trying to take a car with children in it.
Yeah. All this stuff is ridiculous.
Right.
Like the idea that you're going to be driving home.
Jacob Blake, that's
it. Yeah. The idea that you're going to be driving home, you know, after a date or whatever, you know, not drinking or not doing anything wrong, and the police are just going to randomly Jacob Blake you is just ridiculous.
Right.
It's completely ridiculous.
And that's why black people get that talk. I'm not saying white people don't get the talk, but black people's lives are more in danger. And that's why Black Lives Matter was created, okay? I'm not saying I'm a proponent of that movement or whatever. I'm just telling you why it was created, okay? Because of the things that were happening to black people where they were not happening to white people in the same situation.
Well, Black Lives Matter was started over Trayvon Martin.
That's right.
And Zimmerman's a Hispanic guy. And
Tim again. He keeps doing this shit. He keeps totally fucking with him.
I know.
Zimmerman, he is of Hispanic descent, but Zimmerman enjoyed what is called white privilege.
That's critical race theory. The idea that white
that's
people...
your definition of critical race theory.
Well, Kimberly Crenshaw, I can pull it up right here for you.
Listen, that's your definition of critical
whiteness
race
as property, in which she described how passing led to benefits
finally
a kid
found
to
the
owning
Google.
property. Yeah, this is Cheryl L. Harris in the Harvard Law Review.
Wait a minute, why is he bringing this
which
up?
She described that's critical race theory. And the
Zimmerman, he is of Hispanic descent, but Zimmerman enjoyed what is called white privilege.
That's critical race theory. The idea that white
that's
people...
your definition of critical race theory.
Well, Kimberly Crenshaw, I can pull it up right here for you.
Listen, that's your definition
of
whiteness as property, in which she
it,
described how passing led to benefits a kid to owning property. Yeah, this is Cheryl L. Harris in the Harvard Law Review, and citation for it is Crenshaw et al. 1995. So this idea that because Zimmerman, I mean, I disagree. I don't think he looked.
So to get into whiteness as properties, I don't really want to do that at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's more complicated than just saying someone's white passing.
We have a bunch
of super
chats too, so we can't.
That's part of it, but but
I think he looked like a Mexican guy. And further, the news lied about what Zimmerman did. NBC edited his phone call to make it seem like he was racially profiling when he wasn't. So the narrative that emerged from that was actually fabricated.
Okay, do you remember, well, you're probably too young for that, but you know about it, the O.J. Simpson trial?
Yeah.
The Zimmerman, just to talk about that briefly, we talked about that. The Trayvon Martin case is so horrible.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Because there's like, you know, the what Tim said is true. There was an editing. There was editing in the media to make Zimmerman look racist. It turned out there was a totally fake fucking witness put on the stand by the state, which is like fucking insane.
Yeah.
And it was, there wasn't really any credible testimony from anyone. I don't think there was any real, like the only couple eyewitnesses were like, I saw somebody on top of somebody. Like there's no, it was so devoid of actual facts.
They had a recording too, but the recording
the recording didn't mean anything. It was just hearing someone yell,
screaming,
help, right? And it's who's yelling help? Is it
Zimmerman said it was him,
right? Or is it the
prosecution said it was Trayvon Martin, yeah,
right? I don't fucking know. They tried to say like, listen, we've put George Zimmerman's voice through like some sort of thing, and we've you know compared it
through
to
the
it with
terror
a computer.
machine.
Right,
Yeah.
and it says it's not the same. I don't know. The whole thing is just, and I remember
So
saying this at the
bad.
time, even when I was in the liberal bubble at the time, I remember saying and getting an argument with people saying, listen, if I was on that jury, because I followed that case very closely when it occurred.
So did I.
And I was like, listen, even though I think George Zimmerman probably like a shithead, I don't think there's anywhere near the amount of evidence to convict him of murder.
No.
And I would have said that if I was on the jury. I would have said not guilty. There's not enough evidence for this.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think that's a bad. I mean, I guess that's true. That is where a lot of. Well, is that where I thought? I guess I'm confused. No, that is where Black Lives Matter started.
It is.
I'm confusing that
totally,
with Michael Brown was with the hands up, don't shoot narrative.
That was
which also
the
turned out
next
to be
one.
totally
Yeah.
bullshit.
That was the next one.
Right. This was so weird because there was one right after that was pretty bad for the police. Remember they shot that kid that had like the toy gun or whatever?
Yeah.
What was that kid's name? You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, that one was fucked up.
That one was really crazy because what was that kid's name? Tamir Rice.
Yeah.
Because in the video, the police don't even get out of the car. He like literally drives up and shoots him while the car's still in motion. You're like, holy fuck.
So fucked up.
And I was like, let's see, that was November 2014. When was Michael? Because I thought that was like pretty close to like the Michael Brown thing. Yeah, it was right after. Michael Brown was August 9th. And I was like, if you had a poster child for BLM, I don't know why they didn't pick on it. They should have picked Tamir Rice over Michael Brown. But
funny thing is, today, when it comes to issues of critical race theory, it is white people who are advocating this mostly. And that may be the fact that white people are the majority of this country, so you'll see more white people advocating for critical race theory. But typically, a lot of these progressive ideologies like gender ideology or race ideology come from white liberals.
It's also, you say, more white people advocating for critical race theory. It's also more white people advocating to ban critical race theory.
Yeah, I think one of the issues is that people are confused and they're not arguing the same thing.
Exactly. That's my whole point. There's so many different definitions of it. You know,
right.
You have yours, Crenshaw has hers, Kendi has his. What's that lady's name? Robin somebody.
D'Angelo.
She has hers.
I think critical race praxis should be banned the same as Christian praxis should be banned. We shouldn't be putting ideology in our curriculum.
That's fair statement.
But we can teach about what the ideology is.
That's a very fair statement.
So the issue is, like, if a Florida school said, Jesus died, and on the third day he rose again. If a day has 24 hours, how many hours was it until Jesus rose again? I'd be like, yo, that should not be in a math book, right? Is it? Would you think that's appropriate for a public school math problem?
Daryl's like, sure.
You got to understand something. When I grew up and was going to school, first thing we did in class was stand up and pray, and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
You would pray as well.
Yeah, we all said a prayer.
But based on today's standards, in which we don't allow prayer in
Daryl's
public schools,
just not giving him anything.
Do you think prayer should be in public schools?
I'm sorry, I should listen to what I said. I was reading about this guy, this Arthur Bremer guy. He didn't shoot him for any ideological reason whatsoever.
What?
He was planning to shoot Nixon instead, who was the opposite party Wallace was running against.
Right.
And he just couldn't get the opportunity to, so he decided to shoot Bremer instead.
This is like Taxi Driver shit.
It is Taxi Driver. So there was some implication that like there's the scene that where Robert De Niro kind of dresses up and looks like crazy. It's supposed to be like representing the way that Bremer dressed up.
Hilarious.
In the overcoats with the sunglasses. So
Daryl Davis, basically, Tim is just, I mean, Daryl Davis is not gonna.
Allegiance.
You would.
When I grew up and was going to school, first thing we did in class was stand up and pray and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
That's crazy.
You would pray as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tim is making the argument that we shouldn't have either ideology.
Yeah, Christian praxis, which I agree with.
Yeah.
There should be no Christian praxis. There should be no.
But Daryl Davis
praxis.
is like, hold up. What's wrong with a little Christianity in a classroom?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Let's see.
We all said a prayer.
But based on today's standards in which we don't allow prayer in public schools, I mean, do you think prayer should be in public schools?
I think so.
Oh.
Oh no! Wait,
that's
interesting.
This is like a fucking roller coaster.
This is a roller coaster. Wait, let's see.
This is
Where this goes. I mean, I don't have a problem with people having a moment of silence or whatever. I don't think there should be guided prayers.
There's no ideological consistency here.
Well, I don't know. So let's let him see where he goes.
However, I think people, if it depends upon the classroom, okay? If there's an a Muslim person in the classroom, and there's a Jewish person, and there's a Christian person or Hindu person, I think they each should say a prayer. If someone is an atheist, then they can opt to leave the room or remain seated or do whatever they want to do.
There you go. Listen.
What if What if there's a Satan worshiper?
Daryl just won back the far right. He wants to bring prayer back into school.
No.
Look, he just wants some conservative values.
This
okay.
Is bonkers. This is bonkers.
I completely agree with this. This is interesting, but
I think we've gone way long. I know you got to go, and we got to wrap. So I'm going to read. We'll just read one more. We'll read two more actually. The first one will come from Malti, who says, "As a black man, I disagree with quite a bit of what Daryl said, but I will forever respect this man's action better than any Antifa thug has done." Based. And then there was another really.
Daryl's like, "What's wrong with Antifa?"
It's a good one that we need to read because it's the most important one. Where did it go? Oh, there we go. Andrew Lance says, "Thank you, Daryl. This has been a really good conversation that reminds me of many I have had with various black friends I've known." I think people, I just got to say for everybody who watches or listens to the show, we are trying to have more discussions over ideas that we disagree with. We're trying to make more of that.
You should go on there, Sitch. Why don't you go on and completely destroy Tim?
Mm-hmm.
You could do
what?
I don't know. It'd just be fun. Obviously, you could go on and say, "Tim, you were the chosen one. What happened?"
Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for your incredibly generous donations. Thank you, Carl, for coming on and talking to us. And thank you, the true heroes who've literally made it from beginning to end of the stream. You are totally batshit crazy like us. Thank you. You are the true heroes of YouTube. Hope you all have a fantastic rest, fantastic Monday, and we'll see you on Tuesday.
Bye. Hi, you just listened to a clip from the Sitch and Adams show. If you like what you heard, you can listen to our live show right here on this channel on Sunday, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you want, you can super chat us. We read $20 and up super chats on the show and then do a follow-up stream on the following Tuesday where we read the rest of the unread super chats and interact with fans of the show. Subscribe to this channel right here to listen to the live show or to listen to more of our awesome clips.